What I wanted to do today was think about generosity, which is the first of the 6 perfections. But let's just start by settling into our meditation posture. And if you haven't muted yourselves, if you could please do that, that would be great. Just check to make sure your microphone's off. So check your sitting posture, your feet, legs, sits bones, hands in the meditation mudra. Hang on 1 second. The right hand nestled in the left with the thumbs touching. Shoulders are aligned with the hips. Just imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head. And perhaps someone is sitting above your head, very gently lengthening that string of pearls. The head is very slightly tipped forward, eyes down, looking along the length of the nose to a spot maybe a couple of inches ahead if they were open, and the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And relax the jaw. Just bring our awareness to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, back of the eyes. Particularly if you're wearing corrective lenses. Depending on what type of lenses you're using, can be a little bit hard on the eyes. Relax the cheeks, the nose, the mouth, back of the head. Just release any tension that might be there. And the jaw, back of the tongue, the ears, inner ear. And any tension in the back of the neck, just let that go. Let the shoulders drop down, the shoulder blades, the throat, chest, belly, limbs, hands, fingers, and toes. And just bring the mind to the breath. Noticing the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. Take a nice deep breath and just relax the body and the mind. And just know that whatever is coming up right now, it's okay. You may have some big projects on at work. Maybe you have some family things to deal with. But just allow that to be. And have it there with some gentle quietness, and just try and get in touch with this stillness that's inside of all of us. And know that everything that's coming up for you this morning is okay. It's okay. And just notice if there's any sounds in your environment. Now here in California, 6 a.m. is dark still, all dark now. Even last week it was slightly light, now it's dark. so no one's awake. But there may be some birds in your place, dogs maybe. Maybe there's people in your home. So just whatever sounds it is you're hearing, just allow them to be there. Try not to have the mind be distracted by that sound. And then very gently bring your mind back to the breath and just notice what thoughts are arising again. And try not to judge them. Put some space in between each thought. So whatever is arising, observe it with a curious mind. And try not to judge it. So just notice that this river, you're sitting on the bank of our river, watching it flow on by, and you're not getting entangled or swept away. You're just sitting there watching, without opinions, without judgment. And while you're remaining on the bank of the river, you're free. So let's just bring to mind all the people of our life, our loved ones, the ones we have some difficulty with, and then there's those people in our life who are just complete strangers to us. We don't necessarily think or care about them too much. And just bearing in mind that at any point in time, the friend, the enemy, and the stranger can change place. A person who was a stranger to us maybe 12 months ago all of a sudden becomes your closest, dearest friend. Not all of a sudden, but over time. They're no longer a stranger. You have different feelings for them now. And the other thing to think about these people is that they're equal. They're the same as us. Because everybody just wants to be happy, or we're all just looking for some way to be comfortable and happy and free from problems. And we all have this inside us, this capacity for this enlightened mind. So we'll do this, have these thoughts, this meditation this morning on generosity for ourselves and for the benefit of all the beings in our life. And we can think about Coral's friend Chris, who may have passed last night, I'm not sure, but might possibly be in the Bada right now. But again, Coral, you can just imagine he's here with us, meditating. So before we start, let's do our 9-round breathing. So we'll do 3 sets of 3 as usual. So just remembering to breathe in through the right nostril, blissful, radiant white light, and pausing at the top of the breath. Then breathing out through the left, all your unhealthy desire and attachment and grasping and neediness and wanting things and not feeling enough, not feeling like you're doing enough, not being good enough. You just breathe all that out as thick black yucky smoke. Get rid of it. It disappears into space. Not one atom left. Do that 3 times. Breathe in through the left, blissful radiant white light, and pause at the top of the breath. Then breathe out through the right, all your anger energy, disappointment, grudges, bitterness, jealousy, depression. And just breathe that out as thick black yucky smoke. Get rid of it. Just imagine it's gone, disappeared into space. You don't breathe it back in. Do that 3 times and breathe in through both nostrils. Blissful, radiant, white light. Possibly for a count of 4. Then pause very slightly, top of the breath, and then breathe out all your ignorance energy. This is not knowing the way things actually exist in the world. Not understanding cause and effect, karma. So you breathe that out as the thick black yucky smoke disappears into space. Do that 3 times. Okay, so we'll do 3 sets of 3. And when you finish, just bring the mind back to the breath and just feel. And maybe notice that you a little more still. And think about making stillness your friend. It's always there for you if you need it. Inside. So generosity, the first of the 6 perfections. What comes to mind when you hear that word? How do you think of generosity? What's it mean to you in your life? Do you think of yourself as a generous person? Have others been kind and generous towards you? So I heard this little story, and I just want to read it because I found it. It's not particularly a Buddhist story, but it might be. It's an ancient story. I suspect it comes from India, so it's probably Hindu in origin. A wise woman who was traveling in the mountains found a precious stone in a stream. She reverently placed the gem in her bag. The next day, she met another traveler who was hungry. The wise woman opened her bag to share her food. The hungry traveler saw the precious stone in the wise woman's bag, admired it, and asked the wise woman to give it to him. The wise woman did so without hesitation. The traveler left, rejoicing in his good fortune. He knew the jewel was worth enough to give him security for the rest of his life. But a few days later he came back, searching for the wise woman. When he found her, he returned the stone and said, "I've been thinking. I know how valuable the stone is, but I would like to exchange it in the hope that you can give me something much more precious. If you can, teach me the secrets about the power you have within you, the power that enabled you to, without hesitation, give me this precious stone." So let's just meditate on that for a couple of minutes. This capacity to be able to give without hesitation. So often I've heard people will maybe say to me, well, what's a good amount of money to give to a lama or a teacher? And I'll just say, I asked a friend of mine once, a nun, and she said, give whatever doesn't feel like a loss. So in terms of generosity, what's a loss for you? So the woman in this story didn't have a sense of loss. It wasn't in her makeup. But perhaps she also had clairvoyance. She knew this person would bring the stone back. But without hesitation, she gave him what he asked for. This is kind of extraordinary. And you see this kind of generosity in the lamas. And particularly I'm thinking of Lamas of Rinpoche. So in the kata line, sometimes people will offer Rinpoche very expensive things, maybe a diamond, a watch, a nice watch, Rolex, something. And then one person in the line gives it to him, and then a few moments later another person turns up, and that gift will end up in their hands. So if you have any attachment to giving as well, that attachment will be cut. If you had an idea that you might want to give a diamond or a watch to Lama Zopa Rinpoche because it's special to you and you spent a lot of money on it, you thought about it, and you give it to Rinpoche, and then how would you feel if 5 minutes later it gets given to somebody else, perhaps someone you don't even like very much? So this is our attachment to giving the things we want to the people we want to. So how do you give? What does generosity mean for you? And when you see a street person, do you run away? Do you know, particularly in New Mexico, I was there one time in the winter. People were freezing outside. And it occurred to me that a cup of coffee might possibly be life or death for someone. So little for us means so much to them. So if you are able to spend $5 for yourself on a cup of coffee, perhaps give it to a street person instead. And if that's difficult, imagine yourself doing it first. Imagine yourself practicing generosity happily. Don't force it if it's not a habit for you. And generosity isn't necessarily always about material things either. It can be about time. Have you got time for people? Perhaps you can't give material things, maybe you don't have them, but you can help others. Give them your time, your energy, your love, your heart. It takes so little. So we have 3 minutes. Let's just meditate and just enjoy the stillness, inside. Okay, everybody, let's just relax and dedicate all the positive energy we've created doing this meditation to all those people of our life, to ourselves for our own spiritual practice, and for all sentient beings. And just notice the ways in which you practice generosity through your day. Many different ways to do that. Okay, lots of love, everybody. Thank you so much, Matt. So we have more than one host today. Matt and Anna. Okay, thank you. Lots of love, everybody. See you, some of you tonight. Thank you. Bye-bye.